why Indian history was distorted, the answer is very clear, because it was always written from the victor's point of view. It was always written by people who colonized us, people who humiliated us, and they obviously wanted to give it a good spin on from their behalf. I'll give you an example. I come from a village called Kunkulim in South Goa. It's a small village, but it has a unique distinction. In 1583, my village actually rebelled against the Portuguese. It had, there were a series of things the people did. They refused to pay taxes, they refused to let the tax collector pass through the village, and the Portuguese came down very hard upon them. Every time the Portuguese would come, they would destroy the village, they would force the people to go out and hide in the forest. They would come back, and it was kind of like what Sanjeev said, it was cyclical. They would come back, they would rebuild the houses, and they would restart their civil disobedience movement at that time, before Gandhiji was even, was not even an idea. At that point of time, people of my village had refused to pay taxes to the Portuguese. So this discontent just increased because around that time, 1560 to 1580, the Portuguese had embarked upon a very, very vicious program of proselytization and destroying of temples. So they would come to the villages and they would just destroy the Hindu temples and they would build churches in their place and they would convert whole populations, whole villages. But my village was always known for its martial spirit. So when the Portuguese came, the priests and some soldiers came to the village, their intention was to go to the main temple, destroy it, and then force the people to Christianity. The whole village came together and they had their swords and knives and whatever they had. The Portuguese had the guns. But they still fought against the Portuguese and they killed 2 priests, they killed some 2 soldiers and 14 other people. And there was a massive battle. So the Portuguese, whoever survived, they went to the Rashol seminary and they came back with a huge force and they came down very heavily upon the village. And all the chieftains were basically, there was a massive battle. That place is still called Zuzegal in my village, which means the alley of the battle. But what happened after that is when the Portuguese realized that the people were not getting cowed down, they actually called the 16 chieftains from the village to a fort in Asol, near my village, and they said, we'll do peace talks and please come, we'll give you safe passage and we'll halt on the conversions, let's talk. So the 16 chieftains, when they went to the fort, they didn't have any arms with them, and you can imagine what happened. They just basically shut the doors of the fort and they massacred them. Only one guy managed to survive, and that's how the story got leaked out. But what happened was, in our tradition, the story was passed orally and through folk songs, but it was not written down. What was written down by the Portuguese was that these barbarians, these people from Kunkulim, they basically killed the 2 priests and the Portuguese forces, and they built chapels in their honor, which still exist in my village. And the chapels are called martyrs' chapels, because who were the martyrs according to the Portuguese? The 2 priests and the other people who were killed. I went to Portugal. There's a church there which built in the memory of the martyrs of Kunkulim. Again, who is the martyrs? Only those 2 priests. And there in Portugal, in India at least, they talked about the 2 Portuguese priests being killed and the 14 local Goan Christian converts being killed. But in Portugal, they remember only those 2 white Portuguese priests. They don't even mention the name of the 14 converts who were killed for them. So in 2011 or 2010, the people of my village came together, and this includes both today's Christians who are the descendants of those chieftains as well as Hindus, and they built a memorial to the real martyrs who were the 16 chieftains. But till today, there is not a story about this Battle of Kunkulim in the textbooks of Goa, of independent Goa, till today. So for most people, when you talk about Martyrs' Chapel, who does it commemorate? The Portuguese martyrs. This is because history was written by the Portuguese. It was not recorded by us. And the sad part is we have not done any great efforts in the last so many years of independence to change this narrative. And that's what saddens me. And it's not just in textbook history, you know. You go to Ajanta and Ellora today, Verul caves near Aurangabad. And even today, the ISI writes on this board that these caves are Brahmanical in this origin. What does it mean? Why cannot we say, they talk about Buddhist caves and Jain caves, and they don't call Hindu caves, they call them Brahmanical in the origin. Why? Because the British called them Brahmanical. Why did the British call them Brahmanical? Because it served their purpose to divide and rule us. But why haven't we changed it? The same thing goes for textiles as well. Everything, all our history is from the Western gaze or the colonial gaze, and before that it was from the Islamic invaders' gaze. It is time we reclaim it. It's time we wrote our own history. It is time that we took charge of our history again, our narrative.